My beloved child, come close for a moment. Do not rush past this. Do not treat this as another ordinary message drifting across an ordinary day. There is a kind of silence that surrounds unseen growth. No applause. No visible movement. No immediate evidence. No announcement that something important is happening beneath the surface. Yet underground, life is already unfolding. A seed buried beneath dark soil does not shout while it grows. It does not demand attention. It does not prove itself every hour. And still, one morning, without warning, a small green blade quietly breaks through the dirt. That hidden pattern is closer to your life than you realize. That quiet underground work resembles what is happening inside your trust right now. Sit with me for a little while. Breathe slowly. Let these words settle deeper than your thoughts. Listen not only with your ears. Listen with the hidden places inside you that have been carrying questions no one fully knows about. Because I want to speak directly to something you have been silently battling. You have been carrying embarrassment about your faith. Not obvious embarrassment. Not the kind you announce publicly. The quiet kind. The hidden kind. The kind that lives behind your smile. The kind that whispers, maybe my belief is not enough. Maybe real Christians trust better than I do. Maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe if my faith were stronger, answers would already be visible. You know that voice. You have heard it late at night. You have heard it after another delayed prayer. You have heard it while comparing your heart to louder believers around you. And every encounter with that voice leaves you feeling slightly smaller than before. Hear me carefully now, that voice does not speak for me. Not once. Not ever. Because I never measured trust the way performance culture taught you to measure it. I never measured faith by loudness. I never measured prayer by emotional intensity. I never measured belief by perfect certainty. Trust was never a contest. Trust was never spiritual performance. Trust was never an audition you needed to pass. Trust was always simpler than that. A small seed. A simple scattering. A quiet willingness to place something tiny into ground you cannot fully understand. That is what trust looks like. And you have been doing more of it than you realize. Right now, I know where some of you are listening from. A kitchen table holding a cooling cup of coffee. A parked car before work. A bedroom carrying emotional heaviness. A hospital waiting room. A late-night couch. A quiet corner where you escaped because your spirit needed a moment to breathe. You are not hidden from me there. Not one location hides you. Not one exhausted thought surprises me. Not one shortened prayer escaped my attention. I know about the prayers that became brief because disappointment made long prayers harder. I know about the whispers you barely believed counted. I know about the mornings where your conversation with me felt weaker than it used to. I know about the seasons where believing felt heavier than the actual problem you were praying through. None of that disgusts me. None of that distances me. The opposite happens. Compassion rises. Tenderness rises. Because smallness was never disqualification. Smallness is exactly where seeds begin. A seed is small by design. That is what makes it plantable. Large stones cannot be planted. Only small things enter soil. Only small things disappear underground long enough to become something greater later. My child, comparison has been draining you more than you realize. Someone else's confident social media faith. Someone else's polished testimony. Someone else's calm prayer voice. Someone else's certainty. And quietly, without meaning to, you started measuring yourself against visible performances. You assumed louder meant deeper. You assumed confident meant stronger. You assumed polished meant closer to me. Not true. Many loud voices carry shallow roots. Many quiet souls carry deep fields. Surface confidence is not proof of spiritual depth. Noise was never the harvest. Fruit is the harvest. Roots are the harvest. Steady hidden trust is the harvest. And some of the deepest faith I have ever seen came from trembling hands holding very small prayers. Take a breath with me. Slowly. Inhale. Now exhale longer than the inhale. Again. Notice something. The inhale resembles asking. The exhale resembles releasing. Many of you learned the inhale of faith. Ask. Grip. Plead. Worry. Ask again. Grip tighter. But you forgot the exhale. The letting go. The trusting. The willingness to stop digging up the seed every hour to check whether it has started growing. Exhaling is faith too. Resting is faith too. Sleeping after scattering is faith too. Living your ordinary Tuesday after praying is faith too. You were never assigned supervision over underground growth. You were assigned scattering. Growing has always been my work. My beloved child, there is something I need you to unlearn. You inherited an exhausting version of faith. A version that told you trust must always sound confident. A version that taught you that mature believers never question, never struggle, never ask twice. A version that quietly convinced you that uncertainty disqualified intimacy with me. But that picture did not come from my hands. Some of it came from wounded teachers. Some from fearful religion. Some from people repeating what they themselves had been taught. But none of it originated from me. Because I have never rejected the trembling asker. I have never mocked the tired believer. I have never turned away the quiet prayer whispered through exhaustion. I honor the one who keeps returning with a small sentence. The one who says, I'm still here. I'm still trying. I don't understand. But I'm bringing this to you again. That kind of prayer is beautiful to me. Not because it is polished. Because it is honest. You believed faith meant eliminating doubt. I tell you something gentler. Faith is not the absence of questions. Faith is bringing questions into relationship instead of carrying them alone. Faith is showing up again. Faith is scattering another small seed after yesterday's disappointment tried convincing you the field was dead. And yes, sometimes the field looks painfully quiet. You prayed. Nothing obvious changed. You trusted. The situation stayed complicated. You asked. The answer did not immediately appear. And slowly, a dangerous conclusion began forming inside you. Maybe nothing is happening. But hear me clearly. Silence is not abandonment. Delay is not rejection. Underground work rarely looks dramatic from the surface. A buried seed appears inactive to someone staring only at dirt. Yet beneath the surface, breaking is happening. Opening is happening. Formation is happening. Life is reorganizing itself in darkness. That is how many of my deepest works begin. Not publicly. Quietly. Underground. Uncelebrated. Slow enough to offend impatient expectations. Steady enough to create lasting roots. My child. I once described my kingdom like this: a person scatters seed. Then life continues. Morning. Night. Sleep. Work. Ordinary routines. And somehow, without constant supervision, the seed grows. Notice something important. The farmer is not commanding the cells. The farmer is not standing above the field at 3 a.m. demanding proof. The farmer is not measuring faithfulness by obsessive checking. The farmer scatters, and goes on living. There is wisdom there for you. Because some of you stopped living while waiting for answers. You paused joy, paused peace, paused rest, paused ordinary beauty, paused breathing deeply, as though trust required permanent tension. But trust was never designed to exhaust you. Trust includes sleeping after praying. Trust includes making breakfast after scattering. Trust includes going to work after releasing the burden. Trust includes allowing ordinary life to continue while underground growth remains invisible. Because hidden growth does not require anxious supervision. My child, you have been trying to do my part. You tried making seeds grow through effort, through overthinking, through analyzing, through emotional pressure, through constant spiritual self-inspection. But growing was never your assignment. Scattering was. You only needed willingness. The seed already contains more life than you realize. The prayer itself mattered. The whispered sentence mattered. The tired help me mattered. The short conversation in the driver's seat mattered. The kitchen prayer mattered. The midnight tears mattered. Nothing sincere placed into my field disappears. Nothing. You fear your prayers rotted. I need to correct that gently. Seeds in my field do not rot from waiting. Waiting is not decay. Waiting is underground timing. Some answers emerge quickly. Some require seasons. Some require preparation inside you before visibility outside you. And yes, some harvests take far longer than your expectations wanted them to. But longer does not mean forgotten. Longer does not mean denied. Longer does not mean abandoned. My timing is not punishment. My timing carries purpose. There is another wound hiding beneath your struggle. Comparison. You compared your hidden field to visible performances. You looked at loud believers, confident voices, polished testimonies, powerful captions, and you quietly concluded, my faith must be too small. Not true. Many quiet believers carry enormous roots. Some people perform certainty publicly while secretly carrying empty soil. Volume was never the measurement. Scattering was. The question was never, how impressive does your belief look? The question has always been, did you place the small seed into the ground? If yes, you are already participating in the kind of trust I described. You are already inside the parable. My beloved child. Some of you are carrying disappointment from previous harvests. A prayer that unfolded differently than expected. An ending you did not understand. A chapter that bruised your trust. And because of that disappointment, approaching the field again feels vulnerable. I understand that. I see the caution. I see the guardedness. I see the part of you asking, what if I trust again and hurt again? Hear me carefully. One disappointing crop does not mean the field is cursed. Sometimes soil gets rotated. Sometimes what felt like failure was preparation. Sometimes I remove a crop because something stronger must grow in that place later. Nothing was wasted. Not your tears. Not your confusion. Not your long waiting season. Not your questions. I do not waste seasons. Ever. My child. Bring the seed again. Not because you feel overwhelmingly strong. Not because certainty suddenly appeared. Bring it because willingness is enough. Bring it because smallness qualifies. Bring it because the kingdom has always grown through hidden beginnings. Bring it because trembling hands can still scatter. Bring it because ordinary faith counts. Bring it because I am still faithful underground. And carry this simple practice into the coming days. When shame about your faith appears again, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself one question. Not, did I make the harvest happen? Not, did I feel spiritual enough? Not, did I eliminate every doubt? Only this, did I scatter? If yes, release the rest. Growing belongs to me. You are not responsible for forcing blades through soil. You are not responsible for engineering harvests. You are responsible for openness, willingness, returning, scattering. The rest remains safely in my hands. My beloved child, hear this final truth before we close. The seed is already in you. The growing is already happening. The underground is active even when your eyes cannot verify it. One morning, quietly, unexpectedly, you will notice a blade. Small, green, easy to overlook. Do not dismiss it. Honor small beginnings. Honor quiet progress. Honor hidden healing. A blade is proof. A blade means underground work was real. A blade means your scattering mattered. And in the unhurried rhythm of my field, the harvest will continue forming. First the blade, then the ear, then the full grain. Growth in stages. Grace in stages. Answers in stages. You are not watching nothing happen. You are standing inside the middle of the story. So breathe again. Release performance. Release comparison. Release the exhausting belief that faith must always be loud. You were never asked for perfection. You were invited into trust. Small trust. Real trust. Living trust. The kind that scatters. The kind that rests. The kind that keeps walking ordinary roads while believing underground work is still unfolding. My child, your seed was never too small. And your field was never abandoned. Right pointing finger emoji, if these words reached the hidden places inside you. Type, I have scattered the seed. Right pointing finger emoji, like this message as your quiet act of agreement. Right pointing finger emoji, share this with someone whose faith has been feeling too small. Right pointing finger emoji, subscribe, so tomorrow's encouragement reaches you before discouragement speaks first. You were never meant to walk this field alone.